From 14 WFIE, this is Midday with Mike.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mike Blake, and welcome to Midday with Mike. Once again, delighted to be with you, and as always, we hope you're having as good a day as possible. We begin by bringing back a familiar guest to Midday, author Thomas Fellows, who's written a fifth book. It's entitled Listen Up. So seek enough advice so one day you'll be giving it. It's a pleasure to welcome Thomas Fellows, who joins us from Eastern Texas. Thomas, good afternoon. First of all, give us a little bit of a background. You're a native Georgian, I understand.
Yes, I am from Atlanta. I moved to Houston 2 years ago. And so both big cities in the South. And I grew up writing. I had the confidence to write my first book at age 20 because I made a perfect score in the ACT and SAT essay. And, so went on there to, my first book took me 7 or 8 years. And then I wrote 9 books in the next 4.5 years.
Good for you. And of course, one of those books is the book about listening. What's the main thesis of this book, Thomas?
Well, I would think when you think of listening, a lot of people think of it as weak, but the most powerful people are listeners. And so there's a quote that inspired this book by David Brooks, who wrote The Road to Character. And in that book, David Brooks talks about humility is the awareness that there's a lot you don't know, and what you do know is either wrong or distorted. There's also another quote by Harper Lee where she says, many receive advice, few profit by it. Then there's another quote by Bryant where he says, I'm no innovator. If anything, I'm a borrower or stealer. I've borrowed and stolen more things than I can shake a stick at.
Very good. I once asked an actor by the name of Don Amici, what makes a good actor? He said, acting is 2 things, listening and responding. And if you can listen properly, you give the right response, right?
Yes. Yes.
I know that you're a fan of Harper Lee, who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird. There was an interesting quote that she had. Tell us about that pertaining to listening.
Well, I think I've done a good job in my career of you need to seek out mentors, and you need to seek out people who are more successful than you. So I've sought out the help of Bill McDermott, the CEO of ServiceNow, and also Nick Zitzen, who's who's the Chief Strategy Officer of ServiceNow. They were both at SAP, and I don't talk that frequently with Bill McDermott, but Nick has given me a lot of advice through the years, and he's the reason why I'm in Houston now, because I was working at a job and doing really well, but I got fired from that job because the person who was managing me didn't actually hire me. So he was threatened that I would take away his job. And Nick explained this. So because of that, I stayed in hardware sales and could make $500,000 this year working just 10 hours a week. And you can do things to set yourself up for success. And one of those things is to listen.
We'll pick this up after the break, but as we go into the break, there's a connection in the book about going through pain so you build up empathy. Explain the connection.
Well, it's like, again, I try to listen from anybody and everybody, and I will listen to somebody who is literally 13 years younger than me. And I will also, when people think of the homeless, most people think, we need to help them, but I will literally get help from a homeless person and their advice on a certain situation. And the reason for that is, they've obviously been through a lot themselves.
Talking to author Thomas Fellows, coming to us from Texas. We'll come back with more. But first, you're watching Midday with Mike, and we'll be back after these important messages.